Hello, my name is Shamaila Adil, and in this poster, I'm presenting a critical incident from my previous teaching experience in Pakistan, where I was teaching a group of children of year 4. It was a geography class. This incident helped me reflect on my teaching practice and move towards a more student-centric delivery model. At this school, teaching was mostly teacher-centered. So the lessons were based on textbooks and lectures, and there was very little use of visual aids or interactive activities. So because of this, many lessons became repetitive and students often lost interest. So during one particular lesson about bordering nations, I noticed that students looked very disengaged and they were not responding to the lesson. So I even tried to raise my voice to capture their attention, and it didn't work. At that moment, I realized that simply delivering information was not helping students understand or stay motivated. So I decided to change my teaching approach during the lesson. So I created a simple classroom activities where I divided the students into 4 groups, and each were given a country. So they had to find out the province, the capital, and the capital, and then the culture, and they had to present a short presentation about their country, and they had to share something unique about it. So I even suggested that they could wear traditional clothing just to create an interest in them. So the activity immediately changed the atmosphere of the class. So I could see the students became excited and they started discussing ideas with the group members. They were actively involved. They were actively involved in the learning process. And the next day, each group confidently presented their country to the class. And I was able to successfully achieve the learning outcome for that lesson. So in the poster, I have also included the stakeholder, which are the students, parents, and the school management. Students are the main stakeholders because the engagement and understanding depends on the teaching method used. Parents are also stakeholders because they expect meaningful learning experiences for their children. School management influences classroom practices, and therefore it plays an important role in how teaching and learning takes place. I have also included policies and the governance, specifically the single national curriculum 2020 and the national curriculum framework 2022, because these policies encourage teachers to create more encouraging, active, and effective learning environments. This incident can also be explaining several different educational theories. For example, first one is the Kohler's insight theory, which suggests that learning happens when a student actively think about a problem and then suddenly develop understanding by exploring information about countries themselves. Students were able to build their own understanding. So the second theory is Brunner's discovery learning, which states that students learn better when they discover knowledge on their own instead of just being told the answers. So in this activity, students explored and presented information independently, which reflects discovery-based learning. The third theory is Pavio's dual coding theory, which explains that students retain information better when it is presented through both verbal and visual channels. So in this lesson, students discuss their countries verbally while also imagining and presenting cultural aspects and which support stronger learning. Finally, Dewey's pragmatism highlights the importance of learning by doing. So instead of passively listening to a lecture, students were actively participating, collaborating, and presenting their knowledge. The final section of the poster highlights the value that guided my response on the incident, which were empathy, care, passion, and creativity, and commitment to growth. So these values helped me recognize the students' need, adapt my teaching approach, and improve my teaching. So for my annotated literature review, I have selected the article by Lee, which discusses John Dewey's views on education, particularly the concept of learning by doing and student-centric learning. So the article explains that the traditional teaching method often places students in a passive role where they mainly listen to the teacher. However, Dewey argued that meaningful learning happens when the students are actively participating in the learning process. So according to this perspective, hands-on activities allow students to construct knowledge themselves rather than simply memorizing the information. This article also highlights that in a student-centric classroom, the teacher acts as a facilitator rather than the sole source of knowledge. So this approach encourages students to collaborate, explore ideas, take responsibility of their learning, which can lead to deeper understanding and long-term retention. So the research is highly relevant to my critical incident because during the lesson I realized that my traditional teaching methods were not engaging the students, and when I introduced a group activity where students explored information about different countries and presented their knowledge findings, the student became more engaged and motivated. So this reflects Dewey's concept of learning by doing, where a student learns through participation experience rather than passive listening. By shifting my role from lecturer to facilitator, I was able to improve the students' engagement successfully, and we were able to achieve the learning outcome of the lesson.